the 2010s, the era where we saw a lot of great things happen in the NBA, the formation and the collaboration of all-time greats. We got to see Wade and LeBron down in South Beach put on a show every night. We also got to witness the emergence of Kevin Durant. And also, we got to see Kobe Bryant win his last NBA title in 2010. But what if we can go back to 2010, this time through the eyes of two new players who will take on some of the NBA's best. And who knows, maybe we could change the course of history, or maybe history repeats itself. Welcome back to 2010. In this story, we go back to the year 2009, where a skinny but tall 18-year-old kid was starting to capture the eyes of everybody around the nation. Being the tallest player on the court in high school, typically, coaches will have you underneath the rim, getting rebounds, putbacks, and playing like a true big. But for Bo Price, it wasn't that simple. He had a unique skill set that I personally haven't seen anybody else have around the nation. He could handle the ball like a guard, but attack the basket like a wing. With a soft touch, it made him nearly unguardable. And in the high school world, his name shot up like a rocket. See, Price was the top 10 recruit in the class of 09, but unlike his other classmates, he committed to a school that nobody would have thought of. Yeah, Price will commit to the University of Hawaii, making it the highest recruit they've ever gotten in the program's history. Apparently, he took one recruiting visit and was sold. There was rumors circulating that maybe Hawaii gave him something underneath the table. But you know what they say, the price is right. Regardless, in his first year at Hawaii, the coaching staff promised Price that they'll let him do anything he wanted on the court. The staff promised Price the complete freedom on the court to be able to improvise and innovate the game. And at his size, that's exactly what he would do from the jump. In game 1 against the Cal Golden Bears, he put on a clinic. See, entering his freshman season, there was a lot of doubt about his size and slim frame. But early on, to Price's credit, he showed how to utilize it and take advantage of his verticality and athletic ability, most that big men don't have, this level at least. And in transition, you tell me who's going to stop a 6'11" power guard. It's the only way I could describe him. And if there was questions about his vision, well, he got himself a couple assists in his first game too. And for a debut game, he pretty much did it all. At this point, you're probably wondering, well, what are his weaknesses? It's got to be something. If not, this dude is clearly the #1 overall pick. Well, the way the media works, if you don't go to a prestigious university and play the big time schools, they're not valuing your level of competition as high as the other guys. So for Robert, consistency will be his key. And I'll be lying if I said everything went perfect for him in his opening debut. There were shots missed, opportunities blew, but hey, he still put on a show. The Hawaii Rainbow Warrior fans and student section were enamored. See, typically, the big man is not supposed to be bringing the ball up the court. They're supposed to be getting on the block, getting ready for a post-up. But why limit yourself when you have this type of unique skill set? And that was Bo's mentality. And in his opening debut, he'll drop 17 points, 9 rebounds, not to mention 3 blocks, 3 assists. And while it's early, the first official 2010 NBA mock draft has him barely being a lottery pick. I'm just not seeing what the media is seeing, I guess. There's still more time to prove everybody wrong. And well, as the season progressed, he was like a one-man traveling circus. And he would take his show on the road in any university. But one thing I must say, being unbiased, so I feel like he didn't show off his shooting touch nearly as much as he should have. As the conference play started, I felt like he started to get back in his shell and relying on mostly dunks and wide open lobs. So one practice, the coach staff challenged him to only take threes. They felt like this was a way to shift his mentality. It's not enough to just make the league, but when you got a skill set like he does, you got a chance to be special. But look, University of Hawaii basketball is not planning on doing anything special come March. So the coaching staff decided to dedicate most of the time to making Robert as prepared for the next level as possible. And for him, that just meant stretching the court. Listen, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Dirk, those guys are getting a little bit older. The league is looking for new big men to take over. And speaking of taking over, in this game against San Diego State, Robert put on a monster performance. And that shot was working. This was like the culmination of everything he worked on in one performance. He was shooting the lights out of the gym. And I hate to over-compare, but his fluidity in his shot kind of reminds me of that kid Kevin Durant from the Sonics. I mean the Thunder. But for Robert, his college career was coming to a close, but his future was just opening up. And we can't sleep on his defensive abilities too. I mean, if you ask me, I'm taking him number 1 overall, and I don't want to miss out. I know the world is enamored by John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins out there at the University of Kentucky. And apparently I noticed some other big men across the country, i.e. Greg Monroe or Derek Favors. But who else at 6'11" is putting up 27, 12 rebounds, can also pass the ball and get you some blocks? But despite his monster performance, the media doesn't view it the same way I do. And with March Madness approaching, the guys ahead of him had a further chance to rise their stock, and all Bo could do is sit home and watch. Despite Bo's monster season, University of Hawaii did not make the March Madness tournament and got bounced out of the conference tournament early. So for Robert, that left him time to sit at home and watch other conference tournaments. And as Bo was watching Duke, he couldn't help but think and imagine if he went to Duke, he would have been a top 3 pick in this draft, no doubt. After switching channels, he stumbled across the Ivy League championship game, which happened to be at his peak.
1-point ball game, 2010 Ivy League title on the line. Nichols has a chance to cement his legacy and cap off one of the best Ivy League careers of all time. With NBA scouts in attendance to watch, he approaches the line for the 2 biggest free throws of his career.
Here we go again, back in the fall of '09, for what I like to call the last dance. See, this story will take us through the eyes of one Drew Nichols, aka Bug. If you wonder why they call him Bug, well, look no further. He got the nickname as a kid because of his abnormally large eyes. He scared all the kids in the neighborhood growing up, but eventually everybody got used to it, and the name Bug just stuck. And if you're like me, you're probably wondering, why do we care about a chubby 5'11" wide-eyed kid going to Princeton? In his first 3 years in college, he barely made a little noise. Because of his weight and his height, there was no real threat of him making the NBA. The mock drafts didn't even have him going 60. But coming into his senior year, he did lose some weight, and honestly, his skill set was hard to ignore. In the opening debut game against Rutgers, he looked like Skip DeMalou mixed with Andre Miller, with a little bit of shot to add to it. See, the thing I like about Bug, he's really a 3-level scorer. His craftiness could get him to the rim with a layup. He can also shoot the mid-range as good as anybody I've seen in the college game. Not to mention he has the 3-ball working for him as well. And I promise this isn't an eye joke, but his vision is off the charts. He really does have eyes in the back of his head. The thing I love most is his attitude. He already knows that he's not projected to go in the NBA right now. But the way he plays, he got the confidence and swagger of a first-round pick. And listen, I know John Wall's projected to go number 1, the most electrifying point guard in college basketball. But tell me who's a guard out there getting you 26 with 9 assists and 3 steals. I could name one, but I'll wait for you. Regardless, my man's Bug had a lot to prove this season. It was bigger than just one game. As a matter of fact, one time I went to a Princeton home game and saw him working out with scouts pre-tip-off. Could this be a sign? Who knows? I don't want to jinx it. But the game I went to against Cornell, I saw him getting busy, as usual. See, at this point in the season, Nichols had already marked himself as the best guard in the Ivy League. Well, let me pause for a second. There is a guy at Harvard who's doing big things too. That's down the line. For right now, Nichols, as a senior, was emerging himself amongst the best point guards in college basketball. And for those who want to continue to pester on his size and his height, do something about it. Because in my eyes, he's shooting over those every single time. He had the Tigers rocking and rolling throughout conference play. Not really much teams could do about him. And at this point, it was all about showcasing what he could do at the next level that can get him drafted. At one point, it felt like he was getting repetitive though. He was scoring at an elite clip. He could pass the ball. He can get steals. But what else could he do that could really put him on the map across the college landscape? I'm talking about something different. Should he dunk on somebody? I don't think he got that in his game. Should he go for 40? I don't know. Then the idea hit Drew right before a game against Dartmouth. He decided he was going to dominate the game by not shooting the ball at all. I kid you not. This man didn't even look at the rim one time. Anytime he drove to the basket, he was basically using it as a decoy to attract the defender, just to kick it out to the wide open man. I mean, it's something I never would have thought of. At the college level, to try this? When you're the best player on the team and the team needs your scoring, the argument could be that he can only get away with something like this against Ivy League level competition. They may be right. I admit, Dartmouth had to be one of the worst basketball teams I've seen this season. But for Nichols, hey, the man did a plan and it worked. He didn't shoot the ball at all at this game. Yet the Princeton Tigers were still running off a 20-point lead while he was in the game. Imagine that. Imagine your best player say, you know what? Let me take over the game while swinging the rock. And everybody else was on board. Now looking at it, I'm actually not really sure how this helps his draft stock. But it made for a cool game that got him national exposure and a great headline. He did finish with 16 assists, 6 rebounds on 0 shots. And after a dominant regular season, it was time to cement his legacy in the Ivy League title game.
Does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
2010 Ivy League title game, featuring 2 of the premier guards in the conference. See, Harvard had Jeremy Lin, the kid who has been better than Bug in every season of his college career. For Bug, this game is huge, not just because it's an Ivy League title game on the line, but it might be his chance to finally prove that he's been the best guard in the Ivy League all season. For number 4 and number 5, the winner of this game punches the ticket into March Madness. So after the ball was tipped, everything was on the line. Bug tried to take it to Jeremy Lin early on in the game, and that didn't necessarily work. You could say it was jitters. Shoot, the whole team had it if that was the case. As Harvard, well, they came out defensively, put on a clinic. But it was only a matter of time before Bug got his shot going. But in this kind of matchup, you can't rest on your laurels, because on the next drive, my man's Bug got crossed over, but thankfully to him, Jeremy missed the jumper. And immediately, you could tell Bug took it personally, because he would post up Lin, turn around, hit a post fade early, forcing Harvard to call a timeout to get their bearings together. And as for Bug and the Princeton Tigers, they were starting to see food. But the smell went away as the defensive bout came back. See, Bug would attack the basket, fall to the ground, miss it, and be late in transition, and have to watch Jeremy Lin hit a pull-up mid-range shot. See, for Lin, his game purely offensively could arguably be better than Bug's, scoring-wise. I value Bug as a better passer, no doubt. But in this game in particular, it just may be about who gets more buckets. So Bug was trying his best to keep up and keeping Jeremy Lin at bay. And in the corner, splash. My man's had all the shot working today in the first half. I come second half, this man Lin was showing up big time. His shot selection may have been a little crazy, but it worked. I don't know if y'all have had a rival before, but sometimes you might press and force the issue when you don't need to. As Jeremy Lin was starting to get it rolling, Bug was trying to force it into him and get the shot going himself, and it didn't work. And the same thing that Bug tried to do on one end, Lin did on the other perfectly. Not to mention Lin was locking Bug up. Late in the second half, Lin was heating up. His confidence was through the roof. He was pulling up for shots right in Bug's face like he didn't see him. Shoot him away, if you will. Fell down to the ground and really should have got an and one. And for Bug, he just needed one bucket to restore his confidence again in his shot, and he did just that. As the game was getting late, Princeton was holding on to a narrow lead, so much so that even Lin started pressing up a little bit. And at this point, the ball was going to be in Bug's hands for the rest of the game for Princeton to make the right decision, and he would do just that, as he would find a dime and get the Princeton Tigers a 4-point lead. With time running narrow, it was on Harvard to decide if they were going to foul or just play straight up defense. And after Bug dribbled the ball out for numerous amount of time, he would get the ball right back, and and Harvard had no choice but to reach in and foul. With a 4-point lead, Bug would knock down 2 free throws with 26 seconds to push the lead to 6, 56-50. But after a mistake defensively, he would leave Jeremy Lin wide open to cut the game back down to 3. One of his teammates would get fouled. With 24 seconds left in a 1-possession game, free throws were crucial. And after making the first, his teammate would miss the second, and Harvard would come right back down court with Jeremy Lin and the ball in his hand. And after a quick series of dribble moves, Jeremy Lin would fade for a 3-pointer from about 35 feet and bury it to cut the lead to 1 with just over 10 seconds left in the game. And Bug couldn't believe it. The game was almost locked up like 10 seconds ago. And now it was on him to make sure this game doesn't get blown. With a 1-point lead and 2 free throws, Bug would take his time, knock down the first, and calmly and maturely make the second. The game was far from over. See, with a 3-point lead, Jeremy Lin was bringing the ball up in court, and at this point, he had been on pure insanity run. And with the last shot, he had a chance to tie the game up, and the shot looked pure out of his hands from 3. But it was off. And after securing the rebound, the Princeton Tigers would secure the game with no time on the clock, winning the Ivy League title in 2010, 59-56. And for Bug, this will cement his legacy. After a great bout with Jeremy Lin, it'll be a travesty not to see these two at the next level. But as of right now, the NBA doesn't see it the same way I do, as both of them are projected to still be undrafted. And as you can imagine, that's what makes making the March Madness tournament that much bigger. It'll be Bug's first chance to play on national TV, have a big time game, and maybe impress NBA scouts. If not, his NBA dreams might be over. About a month or so away from the NBA draft in 2010, and for Bo Price, that meant it's time for team workouts. And while initially Bo was projected to go as low as number 9, eventually some teams woke up and came to their senses. The first one being the Sacramento Kings. See, the Kings had the 5th pick in the draft, and they were looking to take a big man. And it was between the freshman of DeMarcus Cousins and Bo. But see, Minnesota had the 4th pick. While they already had Kevin Love, the idea of putting Bo next to him had them salivating at the mouth. With the 6th pick, it was the Warriors, and they invited Price in for a workout as well. But there was reason to believe that he wouldn't fall that far, as the scouts were starting to wake up and realize that Bo could really be the best prospect in the draft. Could he go number 1? Well, the media has already written that off as John Wall's pick. But anywhere from 2 down, well, Bo could be on the market. He performed in all 3 workouts, and it was only a matter of time before he would see his NBA dreams become a reality.
With the first pick in the 2010 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select John Wall from the University of Kentucky.
No surprises here. John Wall was the consensus number 1 overall prospect, and the Wizards took him. At this point, it was all eyes and ears to see where Bo would get picked. With a little surprise, the New Jersey Nets would take Derek Favors with the number 3 overall pick out of Georgia Tech. But with him out the way, it clears the way for Minnesota.
4th pick in the 2010 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Wesley Johnson of Syracuse University. 5th pick in the 2010 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select DeMarcus Cousins from the University of Kentucky.
Much to everybody's surprise, the Timberwolves and the Kings will pass on Bo. The Timberwolves decided to go with a wing in Wesley Johnson. And with the Kings, they chose DeMarcus. And while Bo had better numbers, they felt like Cousins had a bigger upside. That left only one team left that worked out Bo to make their choice.
With the 6th pick in the 2010 draft, NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Robert Price, University of Hawaii.
And number 6, Golden State would get their man. Bo Price was taken with the 6th overall pick in the 2010 NBA draft. The joy, the happiness of knowing where you're going as a 19-year-old kid, securing your future. Well, Bo is headed to the Bay for the 2010-11 season. And Drew Nichols had a spectacular senior season at Princeton, setting career highs all across the board and capped it off with the Ivy League title and the March Madness ticket. Just to not hear his name called on draft night. For Bug, it was the opposite of joy. It was tears. But he wasn't alone, as Jeremy Lin also didn't get drafted. And for these two dominant Ivy League guards, this could mean the end of the road for the NBA journeys. Or this could mean the beginning. See, the path may have changed, but the destination remains the same. The next stop, the 2010 NBA season. The year is 2010. The LA Lakers just beat the Boston Celtics in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. For Kobe Bryant, well, he would secure his 5th NBA championship, cementing his legacy as one of the all-time greats. A week later, the league will usher in a new class of rookies headlined by John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. The one-and-done sensations were ready to take the league by storm. But on July 8th of 2010, LeBron James will make a dramatic announcement, making the decision to head to Miami to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and leave Cleveland. That means a lot for the emergence of Derrick Rose, who was looking to compete in the East and eventually try to make an NBA title run. There were a lot of questions surrounding the Boston Celtics. Will the age catch up to them? Will they be able to compete with the Miami Heat's new roster? For some guys heading into 2010, they may be looking at a new change of scenery. Rumor has it that guys like Carmelo Anthony and Chris Paul may be looking to change jerseys soon. Same could be said for Dwight Howard, who just had a finals run in 09. But hey, maybe it's time to go. Just ask Amari Stoudemire, who signed with the New York Knicks in the offseason on a monster deal. But could you imagine yourself diving into the NBA as a wide-eyed rookie in the year 2010? Well, for Drew Nichols, aka Bug, he capped off his amazing college career with the Ivy League title. But that still wasn't enough to get him drafted in 2010. Fortunately enough for him, being at Princeton, there wasn't a lot of eyes on him, but yet and still, his skills were good enough to get him invited to the Summer League roster of the Atlanta Hawks. And this roster was loaded in the backcourt. Not only did it feature Bug at the point, but it featured 2009 draft pick Jeff Teague, a young flashy guard coming off the bench for the Hawks, and Jordan Crawford from Xavier, who the Hawks ended up drafting this year in 2010. And between these three, and they had Summer League on lock. I'm talking about straight rim runs, athletic plays, not to mention the jump shot falling too. And for Bug, it was a chance for him to do exactly what he was doing his senior year in college. Get buckets and pass the ball, direct the offense, and be a true floor general. The only downside was realizing that between these three guards, may not be enough room for all three. Jeff Teague was already cemented on the Hawks roster, being a first-round pick last year, and Jordan Crawford was selected in the first round this year. So it looks like the odd man out would be Bug. But arguably, Bug was playing the best basketball of the three guards here in the Summer League. See, the beauty of the Summer League is that you don't necessarily have to be picked up by the team you played for. And right here, as Drew was going up for a three, he got hit in his lower stomach region and immediately went to grab it. You could end up missing the rest of the Summer League with a bruised abdomen. While it was crushing, he played so well during the NBA Summer League that he would field multiple training camp offers across the league. And while the Hawks were gracious enough to give him an offer, he decided to take one better. Bug would accept the training camp offer from the Miami Heat in a prove-it case. See, the Miami Heat just needed bodies for the newly acquired roster for cheap. With LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, who wouldn't take an opportunity to be a body on that kind of roster for a championship or 2 or 3 team, as LeBron stated? And for Bug, he showed out in training camp. Honestly, it looked like a mismatch, and it was clear and evident. Now, not only could Bug be a body, he could really be a rotation player for the Miami Heat this upcoming season. All for the low. He would end up making the official roster in 2010, officially welcoming him to the NBA. And for his welcoming gift, he got to practice against some of the all-time greats. See, the expectations on the Miami Heat were super large, thanks to LeBron James proclaiming that they will win multiple championships in a row. So for Bug, it was about falling in line and doing the right things. In Miami, we'll look to get on track early. All the way across the country, on the other side, the Golden State Warriors were looking to be a young up-and-coming team. See, the We Believe Warriors have come and gone, but one of the mainstays was Monte Ellis. And after drafting Steph Curry in 2009, the backcourt, the future, was looking extremely bright, with a mix of veteran players in between and a young rookie at the center position. With the Warriors taking Bo Price in the lottery, expectations were a little high. So he played at Hawaii and dominated. This the big boy league, and in practice he immediately saw it, with Monte Ellis and Stephen Curry showing out ASAP. It took a while for Bo to get his footing together, but trust and believe, eventually he fit right into the offense. And the Warriors looked like they had some promise. I mean, the Lakers were dominating out west for the last few years. Maybe it's time for a new team to arise. I guess we'll find out soon enough. It's opening night in the NBA 2010. We're here in the Bay to watch the Golden State Warriors take on the Houston Rockets. And for Robert Price, aka Bo, well, he got to guard Yao Ming tonight, a monster of a task. But early on, it was the Warriors' backcourt making the show. Between second-year guard Stephen Curry and Monte Ellis, it was really a pick-your-poison kind of offense right now. Whether it was Steph pulling up for a three or mid-range, or even Monte stepping out for a three, the Rockets couldn't seem to handle it early on, and the Warriors blitzed them. But after a while, veteran Kevin Martin got it going and put the Rockets right back on board. And Yao Ming, well, he's a Hall of Famer in the future. He's a load to handle right now. And as for Bo, all he could do was fall in line on offense and get his buckets when he could. And his first NBA points came off a pick and roll textbook slam right behind Yao Ming. Of course he would celebrate, but still got a long way to go in this game. See, he was just trying to fit in wherever he could. Sometimes he would be guarded by Luis Scola and try to take advantage. That didn't work. As for Steph, taking advantage, that's all he did tonight. The mismatches were clear and evident. His handle was on point. Towards the end of the first half, Bo was still stuck at 2 points, observing most of the time. When he was in the game, he still had a load to deal with Yao Ming, who was getting anything he wanted in the paint over Bo. Believe me, Bo's going to have to get in the weight room if he wants to last in the NBA. What didn't last was the Warriors' lead as the Rockets would storm right back behind Kevin Martin and Yao Ming's pressure. And while Bo was struggling, so was the team. The Warriors would find themselves down 13 points halfway through the third quarter, needing a wake-up call. And Steph Curry, well, he was the perfect guy for the job. He started pulling from three, just like he did at Davidson. I'm telling you, it was contagious. Robert found his stroke as well. And after a while, the Warriors would come back and blitz the Rockets heading into the fourth quarter. And it seemed like their offense was an unstoppable machine at one point. As you had Bo down low, especially when Yao wasn't in the game or was off a mismatch, there was no contest. Eventually, Bro got his footing. Finished with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, not to mention a victory. And the Warriors started off their season 1-0. And last year there was a lot of questions with the Warriors drafting Steph Curry when they already had Monte Ellis. Who's going to be the primary ball handler? Who's going to be the primary scorer? Well, they're making it work early on in the season. In Game 2 against the LA Clippers, Steph started off hot. I'm talking about piping hot. And then Monte Ellis said, anything you can do, I can do better. The Mississippi Bullet was getting to the rim at ease, whether it was in a half-court set or in transition, putting pressure on the rim. The LA Clippers, well, they just needed a miracle tonight. Between the backcourt, it was nothing they could do. And for Bo, well, he found his footing even more in this game as he was matched up against Chris Kaman, a much smaller big than Yao Ming. And as for the three-point line, well, I told you it was contagious. See, Bo, he was going to be a problem. A big that could stretch the floor is exactly what the Warriors needed as they start out their season 2-0. And as you can see by the numbers, Bo was making the most out of his opportunities and earned a spot in the rotation. All eyes were on the Miami Heat making their 2010 debut. And unfortunately for Bug, they had Mario Chalmers assume the starting point guard role. For the guys like Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, it was time for them to show the world why they teamed up and why they are projected to win the next 3 or 4 NBA titles in a row. And if you're a role player on this team, all you got to do is sit back, play your role, or watch the greats do their thing. And as for Bug, he had no choice but to be a front row viewer, courtside fan, so to speak. His opportunity seemed bleak. It didn't seem like there was going to be a moment for him to check in the games at all. And the Miami Heat eventually found their footing early on in the season. And as for Bug, well, he found his spot on the bench, watching comfortably, but ready. About 4 games into the season, Miami Heat traveled to New Jersey, Bug's home state, and put a beating on the New Jersey Nets. Shocker? Absolutely not. But for Bug, there may be opportunity in this. See, Eddie House got injured the game before, so Bug immediately moved up in the guard rotation. And with a blowout in the fourth quarter, Bug immediately started getting active on the bench, pretending like he was really engaged to get the coach's attention. Did it work? Well, initially, Coach Spoelstra didn't even look Bug's way to get in the rotations at the end of the game. Bug was watching everybody get up off the bench to sub in except him. But then he heard his name. And when he heard his name, he wasted no time. His moment came. 4 games into the season, undrafted, unlikely, for arguably the best team in the world, Bug was getting ready to check in and have his moment. The last time we really got to see Bug on the court getting active was the Ivy League title game. And how fitting. He's home. Maybe the coaching staff knew that. At the same time, Bug can't play with this opportunity. Being on a team like Miami Heat, they probably won't hesitate to cut him in a heartbeat. He doesn't seem fit. So he ran on the court in his immediate matchup with Devin Harris. For Bug, he had one thing on his mind, and what he does best, making plays. For number 9 in black and red, this could be the start of something special or the end of an opportunity. His choice, bringing the ball up the court with a couple of minutes left in the game. He looked spunky. He looked like he was about to make a big play happen. Off a simple pick from Udonis Haslem, he got way too flashy and did a behind-the-back pass that was unnecessary and turned it over. And on the next possession, he nearly turned it over again. Take a deep breath. Don't waste your opportunity. And he didn't do that. He attacked the basket immediately and got a layup, keeping the game simple. And speaking of simple, one of the oldest plays in basketball, pick and roll. Udonis set the pick, Bug threw it up for a lob, and got an assist on the board. And while it may be miniature and little scale, he's showcasing to the vets exactly what he could do with more minutes. Mario Chalmers, you may have to watch your time. It's a new guy in town. And for Bug, he felt right in his nature and his atmosphere, doing exactly what he does best. With 12 seconds left in the game already out of reach, he decided to take another opportunity at Devin Harris, the starting guard for the New Jersey Nets, and get a bucket over him in clean fashion. It was so clean, it had the bench going crazy. I'm talking nuts. Even LeBron had to get up about 10 feet in the air for it. Miami would end up closing out the game, starting out their season pretty hot too. You gotta salute Bug for not wasting his chance, and now he opened up more opportunities in the rotation. With Eddie House continuing to be out, Bug would see the court more often during the middle of the games now, not even in blowouts. See, they were playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Shout out to Kevin Love. This team is putrid. For the Miami Heat, slim pickings. Anything they wanted, they got it. So for Bug, whenever he checked in the game for Mario Chalmers, he was getting straight to it. No hesitations, no regrets. Even if that meant getting blocked at the rim. Who cares? You're undrafted. Why not? You from Princeton. Nobody expected you to be here in the first place. Take the shots you need to take. Play within the offense. If you get yelled at, it's part of basketball. But watch greatness happen. And that's exactly how Bug maneuvered. Getting the ball to the best players in transition and letting them do their thing. And Miami Heat looked like a well-oiled machine early on, and LeBron might not be off. This could be a championship team for the next decade. And with Bug, he was having to play some of the best every night. CP3 out of New Orleans? Hey, who's scared of who? Bug was just doing exactly what he needed to do. No need to be overly flashy. No need to prove yourself to everybody and every team. Just stay ready. That's an example. See, the Miami Heat found something in Bug. And who's to say that Bug can't be a part of this historical run and perhaps be a part of something greater, a championship. Speaking of championships, the LA Lakers are taking on the Golden State Warriors. And Bo Price, Stephen Curry, Monte Ellis, them boys had a handful tonight. And as for Kobe Bryant, he was getting older. Did that stop him from winning back-to-back finals MVPs the years before? Absolutely not. And this Lakers team was sneaky good. Derek Fisher, Ron Artest, Andrew Bynum, All-Star Pau Gasol, and the man himself, number 24. There was reason to believe the Lakers have a chance to three-peat. And while the Warriors weren't really necessarily looking at championships right now, this was a huge stepping stone for a young team to get their confidence up. Speaking of confidence, Bo was going to need all of it tonight, as he was watching Kobe go straight to work against Monte Ellis, the veteran, getting him in foul trouble early, forcing Monte to get in frustration and have to sit and watch majority of this game. But no worries, because number 30 in blue came to play. I must admit, watching Steph at Davidson, I couldn't really necessarily see how his game would translate to the NBA level, besides the three-point shooting. But he's made it work, whether it be in transition, getting some steals, getting some layups, and his handle was sneakily underrated as well. And he had the Warriors rolling to start this game, but the only problem is, with no Monte Ellis, there was really no second option. And for Bo, well, he didn't have that confidence level yet to emerge as the second option without Monte in the game. So he found himself on the bench too. But while they were on the bench, the Lakers were kind of having their way. Eventually, Bo came back in the game and did exactly what he'd already been doing, making sure Steph got a good shot. Whenever Kobe was out the game, the Warriors tried to take advantage, but that was minimal. See, Kobe was a workhorse, straight up dog, the Black Mamba. In the second half, as soon as Monte Ellis got back in the game, Kobe got straight back to work like it was personal. Speaking of personal, this man Steph was on a heater tonight. In the Staples Center, late in the third, early in the fourth, it was number 30 versus number 24. And everybody else on the court just had a front row ticket to watch greatness happen, from the young and the old. And for Kobe, at this point in his career, this was routine, the standard, the Black Mamba standard. Early on in the fourth quarter, the ball game was still tight, and Bo still had a chance to make an impact on this game positively. So Steph found him on a handoff, and all he had to do was attack the basket strong. Andrew Bynum was right there for the rejection. The coaching staff wasn't feeling that possession and had Bo benched, but not for long. When Steph and Bo checked back into the game, they ran the oldest play in basketball, the pick and roll, and Bo finally got it going for an easy slam. Later on in the game, Monte Ellis finally got it going as well after being in foul trouble. With a tight ball game, every possession mattered. And Monte would miss a wide open mid-range shot. The ball was in number 24's hands with everybody on their feet in the Staples Center. And Kobe, this is his element. Game winding down, close ball game, tied game, a chance to get the Lakers a lead. I guess y'all know what happens next. Bucket. The Lakers will take a 2-point lead with a little over 40 seconds left. And the Warriors, well, they would get the ball to their best player, Steph. And he would miss a wide open three off a turnaround. And once again, the ball was in number 24's hands with a chance to ice the game. And he put Monte Ellis on that island, mano a mano. Before he can go up for a post fade, David Lee would reach in and steal the ball, and the Warriors, down 2 in transition, would find Bo Price for a layup to tie the game. And he smoked it. Wide open layup. In and out. And the Warriors would have to foul the Lakers with hopes that they would miss a free throw. And Bo couldn't believe it. It was early in the season, but still a chance to make an early statement. It just wasn't his night tonight. And for the Warriors' fate, the ball was in the hands of Derek Fisher. And he would nail both free throws to get the Lakers a 4-point lead. And for Bo, he got himself getting coached up by Darrell Wright and Steph Curry on the way back to the bench. It really wasn't much to be said. You just got to make the layup next time, Rook. The Lakers will take this game and show the Warriors how to get it done down the stretch. And for Bo, no reason to have your head down too long. It's a young season. Rather you make the mistakes now than later. Just a little stumbling block on the way to greatness. Well, early on in the 2010-11 season, and for Bo, he's had a solid start. And I ask you, would you rather be in the career of Bo or Bug? Or perhaps another rookie that's coming up in the rankings?
I know it's early, ladies and gentlemen, but if I had to put in an early vote for Rookie of the Year, I couldn't name a better candidate right now than Chris Smoove.
See, out in Toronto, there was the emergence of a kid named Chris Smoove. And nah, that's not just a nickname. That's his actual name. And it fits. His game? Smooth as butter. And early on out the gates of the 2010-11 NBA season, the rookie was averaging over 17 points, not to mention dishing out dimes as well. And out in Toronto, the team was a little putrid, so he was getting any shot he wanted to and any opportunity. They put the ball in his hands and told him to make something happen. And out the gate, he was killing it. For Bug, not quite. See, out in Miami, Bug was the backup to the backup. But things were starting to change late in November, as not only was Eddie House out with injury, news came down that Mario Chalmers will be out for a few weeks with the ankle sprain. With Mario and Eddie out, Bug was promoted to the starting point guard of the Miami Heat. Yeah, the undrafted kid is actually starting for the best team in the NBA. And he'll finally get a chance to compete with the John Walls and the Chris Smooves, finally getting their minutes. But at the same time, he's on a locomotive. See, the Miami Heat only just needed a conductor. They already had the engine. And this first game starting will be against none other than number 27 for the Toronto Raptors, Chris Smoove. And this matchup was interesting. But nonetheless, the Miami Heat ran through the big three. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, they controlled the whole tempo of the game. For Bug, there really wasn't much he had to do. Just make sure the guys get fed and sit back and enjoy greatness, as the NBA was taken aback by the dynamic duo of LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. Toronto, they stood no chance this night, but the eyes were all still on the rookie matchup at the point guard position. And for Bug, well, he held his own. See, Chris Smoove was quicker, faster, slimmer, really just better, arguably. So Bug made it a point to prove to the Miami Heat fans that he was the right guy for the job, regardless of the injuries to Mario Chalmers and Eddie House. But Chris Smoove eventually got himself going late in the second quarter, going into the second half. Speaking of great defense, look at this effort by Bug to get back for the block from Chris Smoove. And plays like that is going to endear to the Miami Heat fans as well as the Big Three to keep Bug in the rotation. And on this play right here, LeBron James gets on the switch, completely locks up Chris Smoove. If you're Chris, you just ran into a buzzsaw tonight. Really nothing you could do about it. But he was giving it his all, and you have to respect it. Speaking of which, on offense, as you can see, all Bug had to do was get it to the guys, rub his hands clean, get back on D. As for LeBron James, well, he took over late in the third quarter, ensuring this blowout would continue. And as for the Bug and Chris Smoove matchup, well, Chris Smoove definitely scored more than Bug tonight. But Bug did his job. I mean, what else is he supposed to do? Get it to the best guys in the world and get out the way. And watch guys like Dwayne Wade come off a screen, attack the basket, and get layups and dunks all night. For Chris Smoove, he had a solid night but a rough shooting performance. But tonight, well, this marked the beginning of Bug starting for the Miami Heat. And while his stat line wasn't overwhelming, he found his place to stay. See, out in the Bay, there's a new dynamic duo forming. Peep this. The Warriors played the Bucks tonight, which put Steph Curry against Brandon Jennings. The last time that happened in Milwaukee, as a rookie, Brandon Jennings would drop 55 points against fellow rookie Stephen Curry. It's the first time something like that had ever happened. You got to know Steph Curry circled this game on his calendar. He's ready to get that get back. But see, as for Bo, he wasn't there last year. So all he wanted to do was help Steph get that get back. And early on, it's another slugfest. Brandon Jennings came out scorching hot. So did Steph. The two guards took it upon themselves to make this a mano-a-mano matchup. As for Bo, well, anytime he got switched on to Brandon Jennings, nothing happened. See, Bo was quietly emerged as a really solid defender. With his size and length, it made it impossible to attack the basket on him. And don't even think about it, as he had that inner dog in him too. Andrew Bogut tried to try him and talk to him like a rookie, and that didn't work. And Bo went for the push and shove. He might have to watch that temper going forward, but he brings an edge to this Warriors team that they didn't already have, and that might help them get over the hump this year. In the moment, Brandon Jennings was still getting off. It looked like he was going for another 50-piece tonight. So Bo, he had to step in and regulate. Where Steph Curry lacked, he took it inside, got his own buckets to keep the game close and intact. I don't know if Stephen Curry did something to Brandon Jennings, but this man took every single shot he could in that first quarter and never let his foot off the gas. Speaking of which, the pick and roll with Stephen Curry and Bo Price was unmatched. They had no answers for it in Milwaukee. The only answers they did have was Brandon Jennings coming down on the other side of the court, taking a shot. When that didn't work, it was Bo stepping in and getting to it. See, this wasn't a mano-a-mano showdown this time. It was a 2-on-1. And with Steph getting it going from three and Bo grabbing rebounds and getting putbacks, they would end up running Milwaukee out the gym. And as a flash of greatness, this man Bo took Andrew Bogut off the dribble, attacked him, and finished with the left hand fading away. As a rookie, the 19-year-old kid showed flashes of greatness early on in this NBA season. See, for bigs in the NBA, if you didn't have a post-up game or a slight face-up, it was hard for you to get minutes. But the Warriors, they see the future in Bo Price. They feel like players like him will be infiltrating the NBA and taking over soon. And they want to get ahead of the curve. And they might be on to something. Out in Miami, for Bug, he was fitting in quite comfortably in the Miami Heat starting rotation. And against matchups like Jameer Nelson, he took advantage of his big frame and chunky size. Will get buckets too. See, at this point in the season, you got to ask yourself, whose position would you rather be in? If you're Bug, you throwing lobs to LeBron James. If you Bo, you just straight up cooking defenders in the league. Even the likes of Yao Ming couldn't keep up with Bo early on in the season. There was a problem. When you face a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who got size and skill down low, they would hunt out Bo and take advantage. Example, Marc Gasol was backing down straight into Bo every time he got a chance. And if you play basketball, you know it's only so many post-ups and back downs you can take to the body before that fatigue starts to settle in on offense. And as the game progressed, Marc Gasol saw a weak point. He kept hunting him down and hunting him down, calling for post-ups, drop steps, spin, duck in, layup, dunk, all game. That would be a matchup to watch for sure. And speaking of which, there was a matchup out in Dallas that had everybody's attention. Primetime game. It was Dirk and the Dallas Mavericks against the Miami Heat. At this point in the NBA season, Miami Heat were clear and cut the best team in the NBA. As for Dallas, they were still figuring things out. They had Tyson Chandler down low, man in the center position, as well as Jason Terry on the wings. Due to injuries to Jason Kidd and Sean Marion, JJ Barea saw himself in the starting lineup. The short fella was a bucket though, and nobody on this court could hold a candle to Dwayne Wade. And as good as LeBron James is, Dwayne Wade was carrying this Miami Heat team early on in his game. Not to mention he was having a fantastic start to the season. The Dallas Mavericks seemed to have a defensive plan in place for LeBron, so it's up to the other guys to step up. See, Bug just kept the ball moving and flowing, distributing, getting Chris Bosh involved. On defense, Dirk was taking advantage easy. You know, in boxing, they say styles make fights. The NBA is more of the same thing. The Dallas Mavericks had a solid defensive setup. Dwayne Wade seemed to be the outliers. He was attacking the basket with ease all night. And finally, in the second half, LeBron got a breakaway steal and dunk to get himself going, because he was struggling. But that's why on the night, Dwayne Wade was the man. He was getting anything he wanted to out in transition. The Miami Heat would eventually break away, but there was one thing I had to point out. The Mavericks were killing the Miami Heat on the glass. Tyson Chandler was a man amongst boys down there. As good as Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh are, their true center is Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Joel Anthony. And as good as those two guys are, they're not quite cutting it down there on the boards. If they ever play the Dallas Mavericks again, it might be an issue. Speaking of which, my man's Bug got off at 3 in the corner. And I ain't gonna lie, when Bug gets it going, that's how you know the game is over. And he started cooking JJ Barea and taking advantage of his size and filling it with 2 straight buckets in a row. He comes down court and sees nobody but the basket. He calls for a little screen from Chris Bosh, and he took an outrageous heat check, a fadeaway 3, as if he was the only man in the arena. The ball was up for an eternity. And bricked it. Bug came down to reality quick. Thankfully, Mario Chalmers was still injured, so he didn't have to worry about getting benched. And the team was rolling into the month of December.
For 7 seasons, LeBron James wore the colors of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then came the decision. And tonight comes the return. And moments ago, he took to the court in Cleveland. LeBron James and the Miami Heat at Quicken Loans Arena on a night unlike any other.
December 2nd, 2010. LeBron James returns home. The kid from Akron, who gave his all to the city of Cleveland, is coming back for revenge. And as for the Cavaliers, well, as you might expect, they were having a terrible season. The Cavaliers fans were not only mad that LeBron James left, they got nothing for him. So the team was desolate, just downright terrible. For Bug, his only priority was guarding the best player on their team, LeBron's former running mate, Mo Williams. And I would say he did a fantastic job, as Mo Williams couldn't get anything going early on. And Dwayne Wade took matters into his own hands too, as it wasn't just LeBron James' return night. Dwayne Wade was having a monster season to start off this year, and he kept it going tonight. No ifs, ands, or buts. And LeBron, he just does what he did best here in Cleveland too, attacking that rim, getting anything he wanted to on offense. It was like a broken record out there, if you ask me. And Bug, well, he added to the fire, as he would get a steal and lob up LeBron James for the alley slam in transition. And LeBron took over early on in this game. He made a statement. He didn't even want to play in the fourth quarter. He wanted to get in and get out. And he rose up emphatically. The dunk was so crazy. Had the guys on the bench laughing and giggling and hee-hawing. Man, for the Cavs fans, just close your eyes. It's almost over with. It's like what they tell you when you take a needle. The pain will be over before you even know it. LeBron was out here firing threes off in the corner. He had over 30 points on the night, and he could have had way more, but decided to start the bench in the fourth quarter. At this point, the Miami Heat were like a rock star band. Everywhere they went, it was sold out. Like the Beatles. I guess you can call them the Heatles. While the Miami Heat have been talked about as the best team in the league, Oklahoma City Thunder in record are right there with them. And the Western Conference is a dogfight. And the young up-and-coming team out there in Oklahoma City has been rising to the top all year, quicker than most people expected. Year 4 Kevin Durant, year 3 Russell Westbrook, the dynamic duo have taken over the NBA. Kevin Durant has become one of the best players in the league. His crazy jump shot. Not to mention, the team added veteran and NBA champion Corey Wells in the offseason on a 2-year deal. And he came here looking to win yet another ring. And the dynamic of having him in the starting lineup makes this team almost unguardable on offense. It's a pick your poison. And if that's not enough in the starting lineup, off the bench, they got James Harden, the second-year guard from Arizona State, who's getting off the bench and getting instant buckets. Not to mention veterans on the bench like Will Cole. Yeah, the dude from the 90s, I remember. And for Corey Wells, well, the addition to this team was perfect. The team let him get his ISOs off, let him get to that mid-range bucket that he's also known for, that helped Boston win the championship in 2008. Between Russell, KD, Corey, James, that team was unstoppable. Out west as well, the Denver Nuggets were having a really good season. The problem was, Carmelo Anthony was having an issue with the coaching staff and had been for a while, and it seemed to reach its boiling point. It's crazy because the Denver Nuggets are currently a top 3 team in the West, and Melo is having a solid season, but it seems like none of that matters as the trade request has been submitted. It's only a matter of time to see what happens to this team. Out west as well, the Spurs, still led by Tim Duncan, NBA champion, Finals MVP, just one of the greatest players of all time. Speaking of coaching issues, there was some static in Utah that just could not be resolved between Darren Williams and head coach Jerry Sloan. Rumor has it that Darren Williams wanted Jerry Sloan fired immediately and requested a trade at the same time. The Utah Jazz are a volcano waiting to erupt. Speaking of eruption, this man Derrick Rose is taking over the scene in year 3, put the whole NBA on notice.
What kind of expectations do you set for yourself individually going into year 3?
Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league?
Well, as a man of his word, early on in this season, Derrick Rose is an early favorite to win MVP. A popular pick if you ask me. As long as he stays healthy, he's on the right track. Speaking of being healthy, Monte Ellis was out for the Golden State Warriors, which meant Bo and Steph Curry would get a chance to increase their chemistry. And the Golden State Warriors currently stood at the 5th team in the West, so they had a little ways to improve, but at the same time, given their youth, it's a dramatic overachievement at the time of the season. It was a time out in Charlotte, Steph Curry's hometown, but they completely routed the Bobcats on the road. Between Steph and Bo's three-point shooting, man, I'm telling y'all, they might be a problem for years to come. They might need a nickname. The Three Brothers. The Wet Brothers. Nothing's sticking right now in my head, but maybe something will come soon enough. In the meantime, this man Bo is becoming a real force at the age of 19. The way he can attack the basket and finish with the opposite hand was very impressive for his age. And I guess it's safe to say, this Rookie of the Year race is very much heating up. In December, the Golden State Warriors continued their East road trip and found themselves in Miami, which will see Bug and Bo matched up for the first time against each other. But unfortunately for Bug, Mario Chalmers had returned from injury, putting him right back in the starting lineup. As for the Miami Heat, there really wasn't much impact, as the Heat were going to roll regardless. Mario Chalmers did come back, find himself spotting up for 3 like he usually does. But if you ask me, there really wasn't much Mario Chalmers did better than Bug. You might be able to argue Mario's a better shooter, but outside of that, facilitating, I'll take Bug all day and every day. And Bug had to witness Steph and Curry getting off to an early start on Mario Chalmers in the first quarter. And in Miami Heat fashion, they answered back with Dwayne Wade, as he had no problems attacking the basket. And Steph Curry, he had no problems attacking the basket either, as he went right through LeBron James for the and-one finish. While he's young, Steph showed no fear early on in his career. Between him and Bo attacking the basket, Miami was in a little bit of heat early on in the game, no pun intended. It was a back and forth affair early on in Miami, as Steph made the right reads off the pick and roll every single time. And for the Heat, it was Dwayne Wade answering the call. As I've been saying, Dwayne Wade was having a monster start to the season, and he tried to put Steph and Curry on a poster. And this was a turning point in the game, as he almost made it. But at the same token, he sent Steph Curry flying to the ground. And not only that, even though he missed the dunk, he would still turn around and showboat, stare him down. Not knowing, that boy Steph was a killer inside. So when he saw that charged the whole team up, including Bo. The next few possessions were crazy. Bo flew down the court and punched it with two hands. The next possession, Curry flies down court, finds Bo again for another punch. I don't know if Dwayne Wade know what he just did, but he ignited a flame in the Warriors. Bo went on a personal 9-on run in the third quarter, and towards the end of the quarter, the Warriors held a lead, which is pretty rare in Miami. And for Bo, he's making a statement on the road in a hostile environment. And right here, the chemistry between Bo and Steph is peaking, as a great lob allows Bo to get some get back for Steph as he dunked all over Mario Chalmers. And if you're Bug, you somewhat have to love to see that. Just as soon as the Warriors got some momentum, here comes Dwayne Wade, aka Flash, here to calm the Warriors back down, get Miami back on track. And he did. See, in the fourth quarter, while Bo was on the bench resting, and Steph, the Miami Heat took control back of the game, thanks to the big three. And that's the only downside. With no Monte Ellis, there's no additional 19 to 20 point scorer that can fill in the gaps. When Steph and Bo are off the court, it allows for greatness. Guys like LeBron James, who attack the basket with no resistance. For him, Dwayne, this Miami Heat team, well, they came back in the fourth quarter and secured yet another victory, beating the Golden State Warriors at home. You'd be hard-pressed to find a team as good as them. As good as the Miami Heat are, you have to be feeling for Bug. Just earlier in the season, he was the starting point guard, less than a month ago. Now with the return of Mario Chalmers, he's back on the bench, watching. And that's the NBA life for you. When you get your opportunity, you gotta seize it. Take advantage of the moment, because if not, it'll fade just that quick. The good news for Bug is he found more minutes in the rotation naturally. And whenever he was in the game, he kept it simple, assisting and attacking the basket. I mean, hey, for an undrafted rookie on the best team in the league, still getting minutes, that has to account for something. All the way out there in the Bay, the Warriors just kept it smooth and steady. Neutral, cruise control. And for Bo, he found his rhythm and his way in his offense. See, everybody knew the ball would be in Steph or Monte Ellis' hands, but when it wasn't, oh boy, you in for a rude awakening if you didn't read the scouting report on this rookie, as he will pop out for the three off floppy screens that you would normally run for a guard. And as a big, he still had enough size to bang down low and hold his own weight for the most part. The Warriors found themselves in the middle of the Western Conference playoff race, right around the 4th or 5th seed, trying to hang on and compete with the big dogs. Speaking of big dogs, my man's Bo was having a spectacular January, as the Warriors were in a good spot. But Bo wasn't the only rookie rolling at this point in the season. As we go out east and up north, my man's Christopher Smoove had the Raptors rallying halfway through the season. As they started off terrible, now they find themselves right outside the Eastern Conference playoff race thanks to his amazing play. And right now, if I had a vote, he might be my rookie of the year, especially after this game right here, as the Raptors went into Miami right before the All-Star break, and Chris Smoove put on a heck of a performance, as he had Mario Chalmers on skates, and off the pick and roll, he was getting anything he wanted to, down the lane into the basket, and ones galore. It was so bad that LeBron James had to call a mini conference in game. Mario Chalmers was getting cooked so bad, LeBron needs to give him some tough love. Low-key embarrassing if you ask me, but maybe that's just their relationship. Meanwhile, he was telling the big fellas They need to figure out how to guard that pick and roll, because Chris Smoove is getting anything he wants. If y'all don't do it, I'm going to do it myself. For Bug, all he could do is sit on the bench restless, hoping, wishing he could be out there trying to lock up Chris Smoove. Rookie on rookie. Smoove wasn't doing none of that on Bug, but that's old news, because tonight he gave Mario Chalmers fits. Smoove dropped over 20 points in the first half, single-handedly trying to will the Raptors to a monstrous victory over the best team in the NBA, almost by himself. The mid-range was so cash that you almost forgot he had a three-point shot too. This man put on a full display of his arsenal. I'm talking about wide open threes to step back threes, buckets galore. Miami was in shock. And if you're Mario Chalmers, it's embarrassing. These are the type of performances that make you lose your starting spot. And with the trade deadline coming up, the Raptors might want to consider making a move and maybe try to put another star next to Chris Smoove. Otherwise, you're wasting his talent.
Is finally done. The Carmelo Anthony trade saga is finally over. Anthony going to his desired destination.
2011 trade deadline might have been one of the craziest ones to date. Danny Granger got sent to the Houston Rockets for Luis Scola. Kendrick Perkins from the Boston Celtics, well, they traded him for Jeff Green, and now he fills the void down low for the Thunder, making them an even harder team to beat.
Breaking news to tell you about. After losing out on the Carmelo Anthony sweepstakes to the New York Knicks, Mikhail Prokhorov and the New Jersey Nets landed an all-star of their own in the form of Utah's Deron Williams. The Nets will send guard Devin Harris and rookie Derek Favors, along with
Deron Williams to the Nets, Carmelo to the Knicks. This trade deadline was already crazy enough. There was one more deal that shook the NBA up that nobody saw coming.
We have more breaking news as the Miami Heat, yes, the Heatles, are finalizing a deal to send rookie Drew Nichols and a 2012 second-round draft pick to Toronto in exchange for Chris Smoove. This comes as a shock to Raptors fans, as Smoove had been a bright spot for such a bad season as a team. For Heat fans, the guy who went for over 30 points on you last week is now your new starting point guard. If you're Nichols, you go to sleep best team in the NBA, you wake up at the bottom of the conference. On the bright side, the kid who showed glimpses of being a starting point guard one day will now have his chance on a struggling Toronto Raptors squad.
Out of the blue, Chris Smoove was traded for Drew Nichols and a second-round pick. And just like that, Bug goes from right at the bench on one of the best teams in the NBA to now on a struggling Raptors team with some promise. And the Raptors also traded for Michael Beasley at the trade deadline, sending Jose Calderon to the Minnesota Timberwolves, clearing the way for Bug to be the starting point guard immediately. But this offense was going to need some work. It was heavily dependent on rookie Chris Smoove. Now with Bug in the rotation, he's not the same level of scorer as Chris was. So the ball was in Michael Beasley's hands to start off, which didn't go well at all. Bug eventually got a rhythm going trying to find his teammates, but just everything was out of whack and rusty in Bug's first game. The Phoenix Suns took well advantage, even though they were struggling their own. And for Bug, his game didn't change much. Finding an open guy, passing it up, but this time you're not passing it to Dwayne Wade or LeBron James. You're passing it to guys like Michael Beasley and a young DeMar DeRozan. And head coach Jay Triano was adamant about feeding the post and still running the offense through Andrea Bargnani, and if not him, Michael Beasley. And with no Chris Smoove, it just cleared the way for guys like this to pound the ball and take bad shots. And this Raptors team, with some promise, may have been fading, but it's still early. Michael Beasley couldn't buy a bucket early on. DeMar DeRozan definitely can't shoot the three. So for Bug, there was a wake-up call, a reality call. This is what he asked for, more minutes and a real shot. Is the grass truly greener on the other side? Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough. Coming out the second half, the Raptors losing to the Suns, Bug decided to turn up a notch. Finally start seeking out his own shot more. See, on the Miami Heat, he had to worry about delegating it to the best players. On this team, you don't have to worry about that. See, Bug would attack the basket. When you attack the basket, things open up, as he found out quickly. Whether it was his own layup or finding an open man cutting to the rim, he got it going for this whole Raptors team. And while he's not a Chris Smoove at all, he plays completely different. Maybe that's what a team like this needs. A guy that's willing to share the ball and get people in motion. There's always two sides to a story. Out in Miami, they just got to steal, if you ask me. Chris Smoove had just torched him. And at the trade deadline, Pat Riley made a genius move. There were some people questioning the legitimacy of this. How can a trade like this even happen? Everybody just saw Chris Smoove go crazy. But Miami pulled the trigger and it worked. And in Chris Smoove's first game as a Miami Heat, he did not disappoint. Against the Carmelo Anthony-led New York Knicks, he went off for 27 points to match his jersey number. And to fit in with guys like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James that easy, this Miami Heat team is even more dangerous than they already were. The addition of Chris Smoove came right on time, as this team might be unbeatable come playoff time. Entering into the month of March, the Golden State Warriors were looking to catch some momentum, and they did just that. Being fully healthy, they went out on another East Coast road trip, this time in the Midwest playing the Indiana Pacers. Monte Ellis back and more buckets on the way. And this team, fully loaded and fully equipped, was a problem. They still remained about the 4th seed in the West, but rolling at the right time, catching some momentum, they went on a crazy win streak in the month of March. And for Bo, after making the rookie sophomore game, his eyes were set on bigger things. And speaking of bigger, see, Bo will match up against Shaq. And this ain't Shaq of the early 2000s or the late 90s. This is 2010, 2011 Shaq, number 36 for the Boston Celtics. And the Celtics team was no slouch. They had Ray Allen, the best three-point shooter of all time. And as good as Ray Allen is, if you ask me, Stephen Curry, number 30, well, he's just as good of a three-point shooter right now in the NBA. And if he can keep this up, who knows? That's a long way to go. In the meantime, they had to worry about the Boston Celtics' pesky defense led by Rajon Rondo. That didn't matter too much for Steph and the Warriors, as they were attacking and blowing by defenders, not to mention the three ball was the deal breaker and the game changer. The Celtics will end up losing to the Warriors at home, and the Warriors kept their show on the road, literally. They went into Cleveland and put up a number, as you would expect. And on the pick and roll action, this man Bo was getting anything he wanted to in the lane. During the month of March, Bo and the Warriors were rolling, putting up a massive win streak on the road. And up north, Bug was starting to find his stride with the Raptors team. See, this team was right outside the playoff hunt, well below 500, but out east that didn't really matter too much. It was a weaker conference. And certainly enough, he will find his running mate in DeMar DeRozan. See, DeMar was a young kid out of Compton, went to USC for a year, came in pretty raw. Jump shot needed some work, but he could attack the basket like a vet. And quiet as it's kept, he had a pretty decent mid-range game as well. This isn't a Steph and Bo or LeBron James or Dwayne Wade type of dynamic duo, but nonetheless it was working for the Raptors. What wasn't working was trying to attack the basket on Yao Ming, who oddly enough got traded to the Detroit Pistons at the deadline. That didn't really matter too much in this game, as the Raptors will take advantage and go on the road in Detroit and win a timely game towards the end of this season. Every win matters. And right here, we seeing Bug get more comfortable in attacking the basket, something he's had way more freedom to do here in Toronto. And if it wasn't Bug, it was definitely DeMar DeRozan getting to the mid-range shot. Oddly enough, as good as Chris Smoove was for this team, the addition of Bug may have unlocked DeMar DeRozan and might be seeing some untapped potential. This kid could be an all-star one day if he wants to, if he could work at it. I guess you could say the same for Bug. Who knows? The point guard position is pretty loaded. Speaking of which, this man Bug had his best performance as a Raptor against the Detroit Pistons, firing off on a three, attacking the lane, and getting dimes. And just like that, my man's is a starting point guard in the NBA for real. And this spot seems pretty secure this time around. And as for the Raptors, they had another stop on this road trip that got a little scary. They were facing Corey Wells and Oklahoma City Thunder team. And I remember Corey Wells from that 2003 draft class and that rookie season he had. Everybody was talking about LeBron, Melo, and Wade, but this was one of my favorite players to watch for the New York Knicks. And now, he's on Oklahoma City Thunder. Today, he's giving the Raptors issues. Bug found himself matched up on Corey. It was a mano-a-mano matchup, isolation. At the end of the shot clock, great defense from Bug. Hand down, man down. Good D, better O. Corey Wells and the Thunder will put a beating on the Toronto Raptors. This late in the season, you need all the wins you can get. So losing this game meant the Toronto Raptors had to rally back in the next game just to secure a playoff spot. And to make matters worse, my man's Bug got ripped at half court by Russell Westbrook and got punched on by KD on the alley-oop dunk. And just like he fell down, he'll have to get right back up for the next game. It's game 81 of the 2010-2011 regular season. And the Toronto Raptors are on the road facing the Milwaukee Bucks. And as it stands right now, The Toronto Raptors are the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference playoff race. With a win tonight, they will lock up the 8th seed. But if they somehow lose this game against Milwaukee, not only will Milwaukee tie them in record, they will take over the tiebreaker, giving them the advantage to make the playoffs if they win out. Both teams essentially control their own destiny. So for Bug, he came out rolling. So did the Milwaukee Bucks and Brandon Jennings, as he would not let this team die down early. And the matchup became Bug and Brandon, a matchup that nobody would have thought of at the beginning of the season, but here we are. And see, the thing you got to remember about Bug, even though he's a rookie, he's older than a lot of these young guys, as he stayed in college for 4 years. So his age 22 compared to Brandon Jennings being 20 gave him a little veteran savvy in moves. But that, where Brandon Jennings lacked in age, he made up for in buckets. And this game was back and forth. And after these two kind of calmed down, Drew remembered what he could do best, finding his open guy, and DeMar DeRozan was just an easy lob threat. At his size, in his position, the ability to just rise up over his defender and go for a lob, not to mention the mid-range shot, made him a pretty tough guard. And for Bug, he used his size advantage on Brandon Jennings. See, as good as BJ was in the handle, he didn't really have no post-up game or size to him. And Michael Beasley finally decided to get involved in the offense here, gave the Raptors a nice cushion heading into the fourth quarter. Between DeMar and Mike on the wing, the Raptors weren't that bad of a team after all. And now Bug is at the center of attention in the huddles, getting all the plays and making sure everything is run smooth. And speaking of smooth, DeMar DeRozan was getting to the basket as smooth as possible. With Earl Boykins, the shortest man in the NBA, on him, he found a way to attack and get the and one. Raptors took advantage of the mismatch with Earl Boykins on the court. I love Earl, but that size, that height, just not going to cut it against a big team like Toronto, on offense or on defense. Bug found himself locking up, and on offense, attacking that lane, finishing with the right hand on the right side, shielding off the defender. All Brandon Jennings could do was watch and foul trouble, as this playoff host was surely fading away. And by the time he would get back in the game, it'll be over with, as the Raptors had already took well advantage of Earl Boykins on the court, getting and-ones galore, free throws, layups. Raptors could smell the playoffs. And despite trading their best player on the team, Chris Smoove, they got back a dog in Bug. And as I stated, by the time Brandon Jennings got back in this game, the lead was well over double digits. So at this point, all the Raptors had to do was bunker down and lock up, and the playoffs was theirs. You would have thought there was a magnet between Bug and BJ, as Bug was sticking to his hip like a holster. The two were going back and forth, and Bug was not giving up an inch. And Brandon Jennings never looked up to see if he had a pass. Selfish basketball. I wish I could say the same about Bug, but this man is too unselfish, as he found DeMar DeRozan in the lane with the and-one to put this game away. And the celebration was ready to be had. And for Brandon Jennings, well, good luck next year. Maybe try looking up next time. For Bug, Mike, and DeMar, the playoffs were going to be a new experience. After having a pretty solid game against Milwaukee, the playoffs were secure for the Toronto Raptors. And for Bug, going from undrafted, bench player, barely being a starter, back to the bench, traded, playoffs. Couldn't write it up any better than that. In the month of April, the Raptors were peaking at the right time. The month of April was very kind to the guys up north. As far as the West Coast, well, the Warriors were slipping and sliding. Towards the end of March in the game against the Spurs, Steph Curry would roll his ankle once more, causing him to miss a lot of time.
No words, it's just so disheartening.
Oh my goodness, Steph Curry hurt his ankle coming out of the pack. Oh, this is just heartbreaking, is all I can say.
Steph Curry missed the last 2 weeks with an ankle injury, and with him out, the team fell all the way down to a 7th seed. But he's going to try to give it a go for the playoffs. Well, it's the 2011 NBA playoffs, a special time for special teams. And at the start, it takes us to South Beach, Florida, where we will see the best team in the NBA at work. The Miami Heat will be taking on, yes, the Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors, despite being 4 games below 500, secured that 8th playoff spot. But as you can imagine, nobody had the Raptors winning this series, much less barely winning the game. But for a fairly young team, this is a good experience, going against the Heatles, the Big Three. Scratch that. You might have to say the Big Four. The addition of Chris Smoove at the point guard spot, it made this Heat team virtually unbeatable. But you never know, right? It's the NBA. where amazing happens. Speaking of amazing, Dwayne Wade had the Miami Heat off and rolling. And then you factor in LeBron James hitting his jump shot, might be lights out. Early on in the game, Chris Smoove made it a mission to make sure Bug didn't get himself going, and vice versa. Those two held each other in check. DeMar DeRozan couldn't light a candle to Dwayne Wade in this game, as Dwayne Wade took advantage of that experience. Speaking of which, Michael Beasley couldn't get it going on LeBron James either. So Bug just had to get his shots out the mud. For the Miami Heat, they were rolling. Offense and ball on a string, and for Chris Smoove, Bug stayed attached to him like a roach, as he wouldn't let Chris Smoove go anywhere without interference, as he made an amazing block. But despite that block, despite Chris Smoove's struggles, Miami Heat still found themselves winning this game by a large margin. The Toronto Raptors really just trying to hang on for dear life. But imagine being Bug, going against your former team and watching guys like Andrea Bargnani, who was the #1 pick just a few years back, struggle to make layups. Meanwhile, your old teammates, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, are controlling the whole game. Peep this. LeBron James had Michael Beasley in the torture chamber, couldn't get action nowhere. Then the ball ended up in Bug's hands late in the shot clock, and he couldn't execute. And just like that, Game 1 became a distant memory for both teams involved. Miami would secure a 1-0 lead in this series. Chris Smoove had a decent game. Miami Heat just had so many points of attack, the Toronto Raptors really had no shot. And of course, this is what you expect from a team that barely can win 40 games in a regular season, but hey, you never know. We'll stick around and see what happens to them. But meanwhile out west, a fantastic playoff series was scheduled to take place, as the Oklahoma City Thunder, the #2 seed out west, will be hosting none other than that team from the Bay. Yeah, the loaded Thunder are going against the Golden State Warriors. And with Steph Curry coming back from ankle injury, this hopes to be a promising series. How much could he give you coming back? There was some doubt in that, but a player that was fully healthy was Bo Price, and also Monte Ellis. And the matchup between him and Corey Wells is definitely must-see TV. Early on though, the Thunder was winning that matchup. And the Warriors had Darrell Wright on Kevin Durant. Didn't matter. KD was fading from 3, and if he gets it going early, look out. But one of the more exciting aspects of this playoff matchup is the point guard position. Stephen Curry and Russell Westbrook. Two completely different play styles, but yet super effective. But if the guys in Oklahoma City all around are getting going, the Warriors are going to struggle to keep up, as the Warriors only really have a couple of guys that can get to a bucket. Monte, Steph, and occasionally Bo Price, but early on it was just Steph really for the Warriors getting it going, having a fantastic first half. And for Bo, it took him a while to wake up. I'm talking late into the second quarter, after getting dunked on by Kendrick Perkins, he eventually started to realize what he was in, the playoffs. But see, not everybody needs a wake-up call. This man, James Harden, wakes up, comes off the bench, and gets to the bucket every single time with elite handles. For Bo, he finally got it going late in the second quarter after coming off some curls and getting to the basket for his first bucket to the game. Going into halftime, my man Stephen Curry was on fire. 7-11 from the field, 18 points, but like any great player against a great team, you can't do it alone. But he sure as heck tried. If it wasn't deep threes, it was twos. Curry had well over 20 points while still in the third quarter. If you ask anybody, he was for sure winning this matchup between him and Russ. But all it takes is one swing. And right here, Russell Westbrook attacked the basket with bad intentions and dunked all over David Lee. Not only getting the crowd hype, but getting himself going. And in the tight ball game in game 1, this Russell Westbrook dunk completely changed the momentum. It gave Oklahoma City an extra push, the crowd an extra scream, as Russell found gold in the paint, and Steph Curry just could not keep up. His ankle, his size, his speed. Russell Westbrook was just a different breed at this moment. And the way he hyped himself up in the crowd was unmatched. His energy was just on another level for game 1. And he set the tone in the series in the third quarter. And heading into the fourth, it was more of the same. This man was getting to the Baja with lays, dunks. Even Corey Wells had to shut a smile. This man Russell Westbrook changed the whole dynamic. And for Bo and the Warriors, well, the lead started to slowly extend for the Thunder and became insurmountable. As the fourth quarter was ticking down, they were praying Russell was done, but he wasn't. This man pulled out all kind of layup packages in that fourth quarter. My jaw dropped. And to cap it all off, he'll blow by David Lee on the mismatch and attack Bo right in the paint for the two-handed dunk. And yes, two hands for safety as he was swing on the rim, basically securing the dub for the Thunder. We go back out east for game 2 in Miami. And if you thought anything was going to change, if you thought the Raptors were going to come out swinging and make a dent in this series, maybe you were right, as early on, Bug was cooking, frying, had Chris Smoove begging for help. Nah, I'm joking, but hey, Chris Smoove had his hand up. Man was still down. And on the defensive side of the ball, he was a roach and a pest. Chris Smoove couldn't get free of Bug to save his life. And this was a crazy play I had to witness myself. An off the backboard lob in the thick of the paint. The Miami Heat had no answer for it. And the Raptors were keeping it close. There's 4 quarters to a ball game. In the second quarter, Dwayne Wade woke up and activated. But if you thought Bug was done, he wasn't, as he was attacking the basket with the left to his old teammate LeBron James. And Chris Smoove was in that chamber, tortured. He had no freedom. And Bug, just when you thought he was done maybe, came in the corner, hit a 3, fell down, contested, don't matter. Gets right back up, celebrates, and gets back on D. And before you know it, the AFC Raptors within 5 points heading into halftime. But going into the third quarter, Dwayne Wade woke up and turned the whole city up. With defense, energy, spectacular athleticism, it was only a matter of time before it all caught up to the Raptors. And LeBron James cocked it back, threw it down, and made a small statement. The Raptors had no business being in this ball game. And in the fourth quarter, it's back to the bench for the starters. The Raptors were down 0-2 in this series now, heading back to Toronto. And Bud would have a lot on his shoulders. In game 2 in Oklahoma City, guess who woke up? Well, the Warriors. They decided they're going to make this a series as Monte Ellis was getting going. The defense on KD stepped up. And your guy, Mr. Bo Price, had a monster performance for a rookie. The Warriors were starting to finally let him get loose, set screens for him, get him going. And Monte Ellis found a jump shot. And the matchup between him and Corey Wells, well, went the way of the Golden State Warriors tonight. Now, KD's still going to be KD. He's still going to get his shots. But if Steph could be Steph, and the rest of the guys can do their jobs, well, the Warriors felt like they had a fighting chance in this series, regardless of their seed. Robert Price, a.k.a. Bo, had a spectacular night, as Kendrick Perkins couldn't hold a candle to him. And they finally figured it out. Stretch the court, take advantage of that size, athleticism, and rare skill set. If you ask me, Bo was the MVP of Game 2 for the Warriors. Between his defense, shot making, and just game-changing abilities, it made it hard for the Oklahoma City Thunder to get it going. Just ask Russell Westbrook. None of that flying and dunking was going in Game 2. It was straight up bag work for Bo in Golden State, as he had Kendrick Perkins in a spin cycle right here. Attacked his chest and finished with the left hand. And I'm telling y'all, this man Bo finished with over 25 points, had a double-double. Heading into Game 3 back at Oracle, the Warriors had a really strong chance in this series. Speaking of going back home, it was the Raptors' turn. Game 3, down 0-2 against the Miami Heat. It's time for you to prove America and Canada wrong. Get you a game at home. Make this a series. Way easier said than done. Early on, it was a little back and forth. The Raptors were riding the crowd. See, Toronto was lit. I mean, you got to consider and remember, this is the first home game for the Raptors in over a decade since the Vince days. But after a while, the Raptors even had to call timeout and get themselves together. It didn't work. Dwayne Wade and Miami Heat brought that show on the road. And now you let Chris Smoove get active. And this is where it gets a little dangerous. Now you have multiple heads of the snake that you got to worry about. The ultimate head being LeBron James, as nobody on the Raptors could hold a candle to him in this first half. And it got ugly. I'm talking about you got to cover the kid's eyes ugly. Send them inside, as LeBron James was perfect in the first half. Gave you 17 and 5 assists. Now there's no quitting the Raptors. Thanks to the crowd who never left, the Raptors would just keep on fighting. They were down 29 going into halftime, so any dent in the lead would be great. And they did put a dent in there. They cut the lead from 29 to 20. Bug and the Raptors, they showed some heart in that third quarter. At least gave the fans something. And for Bug, well, he felt personal guarding Chris Smoove and vice versa. He felt like he had a mismatch on him because of his size. So he wanted to take advantage of it. But speaking of take advantage, the Raptors just didn't have any solid big men either. They were just getting crushed. Down 0-3, little hope. I wonder what the Raptors could pull out in Game 4 or or if anything. Or would this end in a sweep for Bug and then his rookie season? Out west, felt like the series was just getting started as the Golden State Warriors played host to the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 1-1 series. And really anybody could take over in a game at any moment. So you got to stay on your toes, just like Bo saving the ball from out of bounds right here, keeping his feet alive and laying it up with the left hand. And this game at the Oracle was lit as KD was going for threes again and he was starting to get hot. On the other end, that Curry to Bo connection was priceless. No pun intended. Their chemistry was through the roof. And with Steph passing and shooting like he is, the Warriors and their fans were hyped. It felt like they could potentially go up 2-1 in this series immediately. And my guy Corey Wells, well, he ended up getting snatched blocked by Bo as he ripped it out the air, gripped it with one hand, and on the other side, my man's Corey had to match up with him. Bo initiated the post up, drew the double team, and found the open man, which the man you don't want to leave open, Steph. Mr. Corey Wells eventually got it going himself in the second half. Matter of fact, he had a mini stretch where he just took over the ball game. I guess that snatch block didn't bode over too well for him as he attacked the lane, finished with the one hand and one, and got himself going, New York fashion. And that third quarter was very much back and forth. Anybody's ball game, really. You got Steph hitting his threes. Then on the other end, the Thunder were just a well-oiled machine as Harden would come off the bench, throwing lobs to the point guard. This man Westbrook had hops like I had never seen before. The Warriors had to be careful not to let him get going late in this fourth quarter, or else it'll be game over. This man Robert Price, Mr. Bo, was getting anything he wanted to again. Walking mismatch. Here in the fourth quarter, KD found his stroke. And Steph, well, that physicality was starting to play a part as Russell was getting all up in his chest and in his breathing space, making it very much uncomfortable. So the Warriors would look to Monte Ellis to bring him back. And that just didn't happen as he was off. And despite having a great game too, he's been pretty much off for the last few weeks. And KD, well, it seems like he's never off given his wingspan and his skill set. And right here, transition, attacking the basket, Bo was just a little too late. The Warriors would end up falling short to the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 3. The Thunder would take a 2-1 series lead, but it's far from over. And we'll come back to this series after we got out of Toronto. And in Game 4, things did go different. Surprisingly enough, the Toronto Raptors were not only with the Miami Heat, but winning. Going into the fourth quarter, Bug and the Raptors had found a stride. And much to everybody's surprise, they held a lead. It was Miami that had to do the crawling back into the ball game, which they did to perfection. There was inside buckets and threes. This man Chris Smoove was having the best game of his short playoff career. So was Bug, as he was attacking Mario Chalmers and Chris Smoove and getting to the lane. DeMar DeRozan found his lane too. But it was the addition of a third scorer that made this game the way it was. Leandro Barbosa, aka the Brazilian Blur. Barbosa came off the bench for the Raptors and lit up the court, especially in the second half, giving the Raptors and fans some hope, as nobody on the court could check him. He was too quick, and it had Raptors fans wondering why he didn't get more playing time in the first place. But late in the fourth quarter, the Raptors had a lead, and it seemed like Bug and the guys were going to be able to eventually get their first win, but that's not how the story ended up going. See, this man Chris Smoove went haywire. Dwayne Wade fouled out the game with about a couple of minutes left. While down 10, Chris Smoove shot the lights out and brought the Heat right back into the ball game. Down 5, Chris Smoove would pull up for a 3 with less than a minute and drain it right over Bug. Now the Miami Heat found themselves down 2 points with 30 seconds left. For Bug, couldn't drew it up any better. Ball in his hands with a chance to ice the game against his rival, the guy that he was traded for. With the shot clock winding down, it was time to make a move. He would try to snatch back, pull for a fadeaway jump shot, but it was off. Just like that, he fumbled an opportunity to extend the lead. Now he gave the Miami Heat a shot to tie the ball game and win it with a 3. And who would the ball be in the hands of? Well, they gave the ball to Chris Smoove initially in the possession, and he got it and passed it right to the guy, LeBron James. And LeBron did what he's supposed to do. Attack the basket, get the and one to tie the ball game up. And a chance to win it and send the Raptors fans home crying and sweep the Toronto Raptors. And while tired, without Dwayne Wade for most of that fourth quarter, He had a chance to win the game here at the free throw line, and all Bud could do was look up at the sky and pray and hope that the Raptors would get another chance. LeBron James took his breath, took his dribble, the shot was up and off, and the Raptors fans had 5 more minutes to breathe, and out the gate in overtime, Bug erupted as he attacked the lane and got an and-one. Hype. Bug was having a career night at the right time. Too bad he couldn't hit the free throw to complete the and-one. On the other end, this man LeBron James was in takeover mode as well. He found a second wind. DeMar DeRozan woke up too. It was a very much back and forth affair in overtime. The Miami Heat, though, once again, found themselves down a little bit and let Bug attack the basket again and got another and-one over Chris Smoove, giving them over 30 points on the night. And with a steal right here, Bug had a chance to put the Raptors up 7 with a little over 2 minutes left, and he arguably got fouled on his way to the basket, but the no call, Miami Heat down 5, Chris Smoove went immediately to the other end, attacked the basket and finished with a post hook to cut the lead to 3. Did Bug get fouled? Arguable, but they didn't call it. And on this possession, with about 40 seconds left, ball in LeBron James' hands, he would attack the basket once again and get another and-one. Just like that, the Miami Heat were right back, tied the game up. 38.5 seconds left, and Raptors fans were on the edge of their seat, pins and needles, nervous. For Bug, he had a chance at redemption. He couldn't quite end the game with a shot, but he was sure enough put a lot of pressure on the Miami Heat with a made basket. So what'd he do? Same thing. Had Chris Smoove on isolation and on Bug Island. And as the shot clock was winding down, it was once again time for him to make his move. So he hit Chris Smoove with his patented size up, got to the mid-range area again and got held up, but finally found an opening and faded away. And the shot looked good out his hands. And as the ball traveled through the air, there was a lot of emotion attached. But once again, he bricked it. And just like that, he gave the Miami Heat a chance to win this game with no time left on the clock, if possible. So out of the timeout, the ball was in LeBron James' hands, and as he was dribbling and the time was winding down, all of a sudden, this music emerged, and I didn't know where it was coming from. Nobody did. LeBron James attacked, passed it out to Chris Smoove out of nowhere, and he pulled for the game-winning shot. And the ball was in the air for an eternity, over Bug. And he drained it. The game-winning shot against his old team. Chris Smoove for the win. LeBron James, Smoove, and the Miami Heat celebrated as the Raptors were ending the sweep, and this series was over. And for Bug, well, he tried his hardest, but there's nothing you could do about that. It felt like Bug was in an unskippable cutscene as Smoove and the Heat celebrated on the Raptors' home court. Sent him home for good. The Miami Heat would advance to round 2, led by number 27. On the flip side, the year for Bug was over, and after going undrafted and getting traded, he still found a way to fight back and make the playoffs. Just like his DNA suggests. Who knows what the future holds for him? But out in the West, the Thunder were trying to go up 3-1 on the Warriors. And everybody knows when you're up 3-1, I don't care who you are, that's nearly impossible to come back from. So out the gate, it was number 00, Corey Wells. This man was torching. I'm talking about absolutely lighting up the Oracle. It got so bad, KD and Corey combined for over 55 points, barely playing the fourth quarter. The Thunder would end up going on 3-1 on the Warriors. See, Golden State just seemed a little too inexperienced. The Thunder weren't that much more experienced either, making the playoffs for the first time the year before, but it was something about the way Russell Westbrook and KD operated that made you believe they were already vets. And as for Bo, well, if this was any consolation, my man's averaged over 20 points for the playoff series, his first career playoff series too. But the Thunder would end up beating Golden State 4-1. Bo's season will be over as well. But I ask you, how would you rate his rookie season? being a lottery pick. What do you expect from him going forward in the 2010s? And this Warriors team too. Do they have any promise? I guess we'll find out soon enough. But for now, we head into the 2011 NBA Finals. The 2011 NBA Finals matchup was set. Before we get there, let's show you what happened. In the Eastern Conference Finals, it was the Chicago Bulls, yes, Derrick Rose, 2011 NBA MVP, against the Miami Heat. And out west, it was the Dallas Mavericks against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And just like you might expect, I lied. See, the Dallas Mavericks would actually take care of the Oklahoma City Thunder. You had to be asking yourself how. Well, an injury to Corey Wells in the semifinals had him sidelined for the majority of the series. And despite having multiple attackers on that team, missing Corey just seemed like too much to handle. And out east, Derrick Rose and the Bulls got sent home by Miami. The matchup was set. The Dallas Mavericks versus the Miami Heat. And for most people, you probably wonder how the Mavericks could even hold a candle to Miami. I'm included. This should be a sweep. Miami Heat should take care of business, get this ring. LeBron James get the first one of his career, and Chris Smoove as well. But much to my surprise, the Mavericks fought, and actually held a 3-2 series lead heading into Game 6 in Miami. And Miami was fighting for its life on the ropes. See, LeBron James was playing super underwhelming in the finals, so it was up to guys like Chris Smoove and Dwayne Wade to hold the team together. And Chris Bosh, while struggled, had a solid Game 6. And heading into the fourth quarter, it was back and forth and close. And despite all odds, the Mavericks had a 2-point lead late in this ball game. Dwayne Wade at the free throw line with a chance to cut this lead to 1, which he did. With about 20 seconds left on the game clock and 5 on the shot clock, the ball was in Dirk Nowitzki's hands, and he had a chance to completely ice the game. And while he missed it, there lies the problem. Tyson Chandler would secure the rebound and get fouled. And with less than 20 seconds in the ball game, Tyson Chandler will be at the free throw line with a chance to extend the Dallas Mavericks lead to 3 points if he made both free throws. With the pressure on Tyson, he stepped up and missed both free throws, much to everybody's shock. And the writing was on the wall. Miami was going to somehow come back in this game and force a Game 7. And all of Dirk's hard work will be for nothing. So Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were drawn up in that huddle with 12 seconds. Had to work. Out the timeout, down by 1, ball in LeBron James' hands. And he attacked the basket, but that music started to emerge again. And I saw him kick it out to Chris Smoove, just like he did against the Raptors. He pulled up over Jason Kidd for the win. And the ball was in the air for eternity. Once again, everybody on pins and needles. The ball was up. No good. Much to everybody's surprise, the shot was off. And just like that, the Dallas Mavericks, yes, the Dallas Mavericks, we defeat the Miami Heat, the super team full of Hall of Famers and a spectacular rookie, at home in Game 6 and secure the first ever NBA championship in Dallas Mavericks history. And the Miami Heat season would end in disappointment. And as for Dirk, well, he cemented a Hall of Fame career right there on that floor. He could retire right now and go down as a legend. The Dallas Mavericks are your 2011 NBA champions, and only rightfully so. Dirk Nowitzki was awarded with Finals MVP. And in the blink of an eye, the 2011 NBA season is over, and it's time for me to ask you, after seeing the rookie years of Bug and Bo, whose career would you take going forward? Whose rookie year was the best? Who has the most potential, the most promise? Or maybe you want to see more of Corey Wells and how you won the 2008 NBA Finals with the Boston Celtics. Or maybe you want to find out what happened to that guy in Miami named Chris Smoove. I mean, what did he ever do in his career? Did he ever win a chip with Miami? Well, these are all questions I would love for y'all to answer below. In the meantime, I thank you for watching. Peace.